Skylar C, you donated for a modern deck list, and I do not remember where you sent me that deck list. My bad. Please send me a message somewhere to give me your deck list. Thanks. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And Matthew gave me a dealer's choice donation deck list, and I want to use that to explore something that very unexpectedly did quite well at some events over the weekend. Specifically the Anzi D sort of special Legacy Challenge event that was going on. And in the top 16 of that event, there were 4 different show and tell decks of various natures that all did good. And that leaves me wondering, is show and tell well positioned in the metagame, or was this just kind of some weird cosmic fluke where the deck just happened to do well for a weekend? And when I see a deck that I don't even really have on my radar put up 4 results in a tournament, that kind of leaves me thinking, is this attacking the metagame from some really good angle? And it's no secret that Atraxa Grand Unifier is a really, really good magic card, and cheating that into play via Natural Order or Reanimate or Show and Tell or Sneak Attack is all very good. So we are looking to go and put some large creatures into play and win the game maybe in a single combat step. Sort of interestingly, even though this deck has free spells like Force of Will and Lotus Petal, it's still worth it to play Vexing Bauble as another protection spell versus these various blue deck lists. Sometimes we can go and just take not infinite turns. Infinite turns is 1 turn, that's all we need. You could take an extra turn with Emrakul the Aeon's Torn if you can cast that off of an Omniscience, but generally speaking, a lot of times we will be putting a creature in with Show and Tell, passing the turn, and then finishing the job the following turn. The sideboard of this deck has some relatively powerful options. We are seeing Fairy Macabre here just as a generic powerful card that is all over Legacy. We have another Oops, I Win button that might steal some games when opponents do not expect it. And then a few powerful things that might wipe out some artifact decks or some creature decks respectively. As a blue deck, we are still seeing a couple copies of Consigned to Memory, just as sort of an obligatory card that covers a lot of bases, and then a few more cards that might help you versus the various blue decks that you are going to see in this format. So yeah, I just want to see if this deck is the real deal, if it feels good, or if this was just, particularly well aligned for one specific weekend. Folks, should you need any cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. MTG Foundations will probably be about available for order by the time that you all see this video. I am very excited about the cards coming out from that set, especially Scythe Cat Cub. Should you need any of those cards, you get free shipping on them, and promo code ThrabenU will save you a little bit on your order as well. Let's battle. So, the name of the game is, how willing am I to bet on the fact that my opponent does not have Caracas in their opening hand? I think on the play, I am willing to take that gamble. This is not necessarily perfect, but this just turn 2 Show and Tells in an Emrakul, maybe with Force of Will protection. The latest MTGO update is very weird. When I hover over a card, it is appearing very far away from that card. Oh, Moto is loud. Alright, that's better. Your Mother Runes is fine. Okay, there is Force of Will protection. We are jamming. And hoping for the best. And Omniscience is often ideal in this matchup to kind of help out with the Caracas type stuff, or working towards a Show and Tell, a Sneak Attack with multiple red mana is a way that you could go. But I think given the option to just jam on turn 2, I take it. It is an Ajani. You may have your cats. So again, this is just fully do we dodge the Caracas. Fuck. Yep. So now we have to play real magic, unfortunately. Pretty sure it's a mistake to not attack with Mother of Runes there. My opponent should not really be anticipating game 1 removal, and they don't really care if the stuff gets removed. Actually, I probably play and sack Vexing Bauble immediately before I ponder to just get a little deeper into my deck here. Yeah. Let's ponder. None of that is what I'm looking for. We will shuffle. Show and tell is not great here. I think I'll keep my City of Traders for this turn. I am potentially getting rid of it in the future, but I would like to use the City of Traders to loop a sneak attack into play, potentially. Or I can still brainstorm into Show and Tell Omniscience Emrakul or something like that. That's awkward. That's very awkward. I don't think that's worth 2 cards here. It's possible it is worth my Force of Will and my Show and Tell to protect the Brainstorm, though. And opponent agrees that the Brainstorm is the best card there. Okay, so opponent now has the memo. Attack with Mother of Runes. I'm at 13, I could be at 12. Flusterstorm's real bad as a draw. This now becomes my Force of Will pitch if my opponent casts a spell. I'll take 4 more in combat here. Go to 9, could be at 8. The initial mom attack is literally a turn off the clock. This Lion Sash is not, like, all that good. I am still probably going to Force of Will it here, because it does have the potential to change the clock to me dying next turn. That's not great. So I think we're hoping to spike Omniscience off the top of the deck next turn. Omniscience would be very good. This potentially gives me another turn if my opponent does not play another creature here. I'm at 5. Yeah, unless there's a flash creature here, which there could be. There could be something like an Orcish Bowmasters. Unless there is a flash creature, my opponent gave me an extra turn. So, red source. I can show a tell in Sneak Attack, and Emrakul, but it just gets bounced, so I'm just going to play out the Sneak Attack here. And I'm dead to something like a Bowmasters. Yeah, there we go. Dead. I mean, we took the Caracas Gambit and lost. So I want Fury, Brotherhood's End. Oh man, do cards just always get bigger if you hover over them now? I don't want that. Okay. One of these interactions with creatures. I could consider Magus of the Moon to shut off Caracas specifically. Probably get rid of Vexing Bauble. That's not all that exciting here. Probably go down like a Grizzlebrand here. That's not the best versus like known Atraxa. I think I do want both of these. Oh, I have Flusterstorms that I can get rid of. Those cards are just garbage here. That gives me a Magus of the Moon. Play a second over a One Ring. One Ring not the best versus Bowmasters. Sure, I could buy that. It's a little awkward to board in a couple of copies of Magus while also boarding in some sweepers. I'll live with that. This is slightly awkward. It's very good if I can find a show and tell. I have early interaction for a creature. I'm not the best versus a wasteland. I probably just keep this. It has acceleration. It has one side of my A plus B plus a cantrip. The One Ring and Pyroclasm. That's an angle of attack. I don't think that's what I want. That's what I want. That is just show and tell Omniscience into Atraxa. Alright, cool. We didn't eat turn 1 wasteland, so that's nice. My opponent likes their card. So I am going to show and tell in Omniscience. Occasionally, some sort of Oblivion Ring style effect can happen here that can mess with my Omniscience, and it might feel worse to put in Omniscience than Atraxa directly. Recruiter of the Guard is fine. Opponent finds a Solitude. That's fine. Atraxa hopefully just lets me win the game right now. Alright, so we will choose Creature, Land, Sorcery, Enchantment, Instant. That's 5. Done. We will cast a secondary Omniscience. Let's cast a Brainstorm. That's interesting. I'll put back a Show and Tell that I won't need. A land that I won't need. I'm probably going to just Ponder Shuffle here. Yeah. We will cast a new Atraxa. Keep this one. Alright. Creature. Artifact. Enchantment. Land. Sorcery? Cast a Sneak Attack. Guess we are just going to cast another, I could cast this Ponder first. We're in garbage time. I've won this game. Force of Will is cool. I'd kind of like to just win this turn though. Like it's pretty. Wow, yes, I can cast this for free 2 different ways. I'll cast this one with Omniscience. Storm is 10. We will eventually find a fucking Emrakul. Today is not that day. Sorcery. Land. Creature. Done. Cast Atraxa fucking number 4. Find me a goddamn Emrakul. Bring me Emrakul. Okay, there's Emrakul. Emrakul. Force of Will. Some land. Show and Tell. Done. Okay, yeah. We looked at a lot of cards that turn. That was powerful. No changes about sideboarding, although if I could shove 5 more Emrakuls into the deck right now, they would feel okay. I do not believe that I am into this hand. I can Force of Will an initial play from my opponent. I don't have anything to show and tell in. I can Brainstorm lock myself some portion of the time. I don't have fast mana. I think I can do better. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm into this. I think I keep this and just don't keep the Abrade. Let's see what our opponent has. I'm pretty redundant to something like a Thoughtseize here. Vile is fine. The Abrade would be good against it, obviously. But I think I need both Ponders to make sure that I hit land drops. That is land drop 2. That's fine. The other 2 cards are very bad. Let's not. There is a Brainstorm. I can still look at like a ton of cards next turn to hit my next land drop. What you got? That's fine. Again, I'm pretty redundant against this. Opponent does not have many raw cards left. I have lost the Atraxa, so I will need to find both a new creature and lands. I don't think that's the end of the world, though. I don't like drawing that here. I'm going to Ponder rather than Brainstorm. It's a disaster if I get Brainstorm locked here. None of those are lands. We're going to shuffle. That is also not a land. Am I willing to give up Lotus Petal in order to Brainstorm now? I think so. I probably need, oh god, multiple cantrips to make the remainder of this game work. So I think I'm willing to fish for the land there. Opponent gets a little selection. So I'll have to think about whether or not I am willing to Brainstorm next turn. I'm not under any pressure yet, but things like Bowmasters can come in very quickly and mess with that. Broadside's fine. It could get scarier if something like an Ajani happens and my opponent picks up a Planeswalker. I know that the top card of my library is bad. I can have 2 other looks at lands. I don't actually have all that many lands in the deck list. I think I'm willing to do this now. It just doesn't feel good. Alright, fantastic. We will put back 1 Sneak Attack, 1 Emrakul, play a land, and pass. This is a little awkward here. It means that I can't get a Surveil land, and the Surveil land would be really, really strong right now. Opponent does not have a lot going on. There is potentially a Yorion coming, though, so that's a thing to keep in mind. 16. So I am fetching here. This is unfortunately getting me another basic, and it's a Misty, so it has to be a basic island. It can't be a basic mountain. That is a terrible draw. I'm good with 1 more land of any kind. Recruiter is very bad. My opponent has something like a Containment Priest that will do a lot of work here. And this can just turn into a Lava Axe to face. Alright, it is Containment Priest. So now we're going to need a sweeper as well. So we have Pyroclasm, Fury. That's bad. Pyroclasm, Fury, Brotherhood's End. I take 5 damage in combat. Go to 10. And if my opponent cares about the Planeswalker, they can just throw a cat at me to make a Ajani. Otherwise, if they care about my life total more, they can throw a Recruiter of the Guard at my face. Alright. So there's a cat. Yeah, I guess it's actually only 1 less damage here, since they do control the red permanent. We bottomed out and did not draw any mana there. We have 7 cards in hand, no castable spells. GG's.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to host your online deck lists, and I don't think it's close. I think it's wonderfully organized, and you can have a great system of folders so that you can go through, separate your decks by whatever you want. I separate mine by format. I have just a few legacy decks, and Moxfield is able to keep track of all the decks that even someone like me makes. So please consider checking them out.
All right. So I have Show and Tell for Atraxa early on. I potentially have Vexing Bobble or Flusterstorm to help back that up. And there is a Delighted Halfling. We are potentially playing against Nadu combo, which might be faster than what I'm doing. So let's try to set up our Vexing Bobble. I am quite worried that I am not going to be fast enough here. All right, so we have set my opponent back a land drop, which is massive. My opponent is still going to end up ahead on mana, like they are the first one to untap with 2 mana. But this does mean that they are not just jamming Nadu this turn and presenting a win attempt next turn. They still could just... Ooh. All right, that's not so bad. So I think I'm going to Brainstorm prior to playing a land here. See if my opponent wants to daze this Brainstorm. Simian Spirit Guide. I'll probably keep that. That lets me have Flusterstorm available next turn. That means I get rid of Sneak Attack and Ponder. Play Tarn and pass. And I can get a Thundering Falls at end step to Surveil for a little bit of selection. Alright, there's the Nadu. We knew that was coming. So I would very, very much prefer to just win the game next turn. That would be cool. I don't need that extra land. Oh shit, that is exactly what I needed. So, play Volk. We are going to cast Show and Tell. We're going to leave both blue and red mana available here. Alright, there's Force of Will. We will fluster that with the same targets. Alright. I will put in Omniscience. My opponent puts in a land. I will Atraxa. Nice. Enchantment. Okay. Yeah. We were getting a lot there. Alright, so how am I going to approach this matchup? Am I racing? Or am I trying to interact? Our deck speeds are pretty similar. I can do this Vexing Bobble defense grid stuff to try to make sure my Show and Tells and Sneak Attacks resolve. Playing more Vexing Bobbles would make boarding in something like Fury more awkward. I think the One Ring is just fully too slow to matter. I think I like Vexing Bobble. I think I'm going to go the Pyroblasts in. Maybe go down a Grizzlebrand. I don't think I'm going to try to interact with the creatures. I could see Defense Grid being reasonable on the play. It feels a little slow on the draw. Let's try something like this, but I'm very unsure about sideboarding. I think there's a lot of different angles you could take here. So on turn 1, I can Ponder, attempting to find protection, and then on turn 2, I can cast Show and Tell. That's fine. I would love to find Force of Will specifically. I have some degree of agency in sculpting my hand with the Ponder. I don't always have to just immediately go for stuff on turn 2. Well, alright. Grab Volk. Cast Ponder. I mean, that's Force of Will. Okay. And then I'll pass the turn. Next turn we have a pretty reasonable play. Your Ponders are fine. That's a shuffle on their end. And a new Ponder. And another fast shuffle. I am not sure that my opponent even has a counterspell here. Those were very fast shuffles. I think we're jamming even though Daze is online. We can run into Nadu plus Enabler from my opponent next turn. I think I'm willing to just go for it. It gets worse if my opponent interacts, because I will lose access to something like the Omniscience here. Alright, Force of Will pitching Nadu. I will Force of Will back, pitching Omniscience, and then I will put in Atraxa to refuel. Alright, opponent just takes a land. So I will go creature, instant, sorcery, land, enchantment, artifact. Casual, draw 6 off my Show and Tell. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, yeah, so I'm discarding some cards here. My opponent can do a Surveil land at end of turn. And presumably does not want more land. Discard Sneak Attack. Discard Sneak Attack. That one I will let resolve. Oh fuck, I know, there's a fucking Delighted Halfling. What am I thinking? That was fucking dumb. Oh, I hope I don't lose instantly for that. My opponent has 1 card remaining. I am just going to Force of Will that. It's not all that strong of a play. I think it's worth doing. I should have just taken this out. That sat on the stack for a long time there. Spirit Guide's insane as a draw. We'll drop a new Volk, drop a sneak attack, activate a sneak attack, put in an Emrakul, and this is lethal, assuming no other nonsense from my opponent. Okay, I could have tightened up that match, but the deck carried. Well, I have no land in this hand, and no show and tell target. I don't think we get to keep that one. Turn 1, Scalding Tarn. Turn 2, Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, Sneak Attack, activate, put in Atraxa. Yep. We will get rid of Basic Mountain here. I think I am comfortable putting the Lotus Petal into play, because things like Vexing Bauble and Thalia and Thorn of Amethyst, Sphere of Resistance exist in this format. An Ancient Tomb. Palace on 1 is not going to interact with me. We'll fetch, get Thundering Falls, and select a little bit. I do not need another show and tell. We'll just put that into graveyard here. I believe that I am still comfortable casting show and tell for sneak attack here. So yeah, put in sneak attack. Eye of Ugin. Okay. Well, this is probably not going to go well for you, friend. So, Force of Will, blue card to pair with it, land of some kind, instant land sorcery. Done. This honestly could have gone better for us. That was not a good Atraxa. We did not find another creature, so I'm sacrificing this. Ponder probably just gets me there in terms of winning this game. I just ponder for an Emrakul or another Atraxa and finish our opponent off. We would, even if Cavern of Souls would not here, we would probably be pretty conservative in using the Force of Will because it costs the only blue card that we have, and the Ponder is quite necessary. So from my opponent's side, I am currently thinking about Sowing Mycospawn fucking me up. Like Sowing Mycospawn taking out Thundering Falls is a little bit of a pain. If my opponent presents Glaring Fleshraker without using Cavern of Souls, I might need to Force of Will Glaring Fleshraker because it can represent very, very, very large swings this turn. Notably here, Cavern of Souls, the uncounterable mana is colorless mana. So I think I do just counter this, pitching the Ponder, despite the fact that I now cannot select my draw. I think there is just too much of a chance that I potentially die if I let Glaring Fleshraker go here. Ooh, okay. Well, confirming I have one Thundering Falls. I have one Thundering Falls, so I will play Volk out here. I think I am going to play another sneak attack at the cost of 2 life. So Wastscape Battle Mage is not commonly played right now, but it does exist in some of these deck lists. And I think if it were to happen, it would be a disaster. I'm probably about to lose 2 lands to a Sowing Mycospawn if I were to guess. Yeah. Oh, that's the wrong land. That is not the one that you take out there. So you want to try to cut me off red mana for activating sneak attacks. You could have taken out Volk and Thundering Falls at the same time. And you want... Oh, is it just a moot point because you're going to get everything by casting another Sowing Mycospawn? If so, I'll shut up. Yeah, it is another Sowing Mycospawn, unfortunately. So there's Wasteland. Wasteland takes out a land. I am still being left with a land, though. Whereas I potentially could have had no lands. Omniscience not doing a lot here. 8 damage on board plus whatever else potentially happens. New Wasteland? Sure. Not great for me. I'm always dead next turn. I take 8 here, and I can't survive that again. 11. Because I am just always, always, always dead next turn, I think I'm going to go ahead and just fetch 2 thin. Take a Volk, try to spike a creature here. I guess I'm not technically dead. Oh, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My opponent could have activated Eye of Ugin and just searched up something to help with their situation. Yeah. I go to 5, and now even if I block this, I die to these 2. That's unfortunate. All right, Magus of the Moon is reasonable here. Fury feels reasonable. I can do some other interaction of that sort. I'm not really interested in Vexing Baubles and Flusterstorms. At a minimum, I'm trying to fill those slots. I think that's Magus, Fury, and then probably one of these cards. I think I want the instant speed card that can also potentially clear a Chalice of the Void. I wonder if we are playing enough mana in this deck. Mulligan. Is this even good? It really feels like trying to rely on sneak attack just means that I fucking die. Like, my opponent has so little that interacts with me just jamming a show and tell into an Atraxa. But, like, sneak attack on turn 3, activate on turn 4 just feels glacially slow. Like, I try to brainstorm and fix this. I think I'm just going to mulligan. Yes. This is much better. So this can attempt turn 2, show and tell, and has a couple of cantrips to help along the way. I think I'm getting basic island here, so this can't be wastelanded. We get 4 looks at a creature. That is a creature. Yeah, I'm into it. We'll, I guess, leave the Emrakul on top. Cavern on Eldrazi and pass. Now, the Eldrazi deck does occasionally play a one of Karakas that can be tutorable. So that's just a thing to keep in mind. It could potentially happen. But if they don't answer this Emrakul, I imagine that this is game over. Yeah. That's why we mulligan. Now, when I am on the draw, I might want some extra answers to creatures. I could get rid of the One Ring, rationalizing that I don't need to grind, I just need to kill my opponent and not die myself. I think that's fine. The red of Brotherhood's End is not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world, though. Oh, that's tough. I don't think this is a keep. Magus of the Moon is an insane card in the matchup that I can't accelerate out here. I need to play this on turn 2 if I want it to be good. Like, can I keep this Misty Rainforest, fetch for basic island, ponder? No, find Ancient Tomb. That doesn't work. So I'd have to find Lotus Petal or Simian Spirit Guide. So I would have 6 hits. I have a decent number of looks to make that happen. Chalice on 1 would be quite strong against me here. I'm going to try to keep it. I don't think that it's perfect. That is a little weird for this being... Okay. Alright. So this is basic island. I would now almost like to ponder for Force of Will to stop like a glaring Fleshraker from coming down immediately. Oh shit. That combination of cards is probably too good to throw back. Okay. And I'm going to play out the Lotus Petal in case my opponent draws Vexing Bauble. I expect Soul Land into like Glaring Fleshraker this turn. It is a Chalice on 1 instead. I don't care about that. So now I successfully accelerate into Magus of the Moon that I'm not really expecting my opponent to have answers for. And then in 2 turns, I just play Sneak Attack and then do the Atraxa thing. Fuck off! No fucking way. No way. Both basics in hand, no manipulation. Fuck. Oh, that's savage. I'm upset. But they're not taking game actions on 3 mana. So what does that mean? That means like 4 mana cards like Sowing Myco spawn. That means colorless cards like Kozilek's Command. Okay, yeah. So there's Sowing Myco spawn. My opponent probably doesn't have another basic. Yeah, so they just get a mountain. So I will jam a Sneak Attack into play. And then hopefully next turn I just win the game. Both these cantrips are off. That shouldn't matter though. It's also really hard for my opponent to go ham and combo me off without Eye of Ugin actually being a real mana source. Sure. Thought-Knot Seer is slightly annoying. That will certainly slow me down. My cantrips aren't online. I'll take 3 here. That's a dead draw. I'll pass turn. This is where drawing something like a Fury could be really, really good. I don't think I am chump blocking with Magus of the Moon yet. Unlocking that Eye of Ugin could be pretty bad. That's also pretty bad. So I cannot kill my opponent this turn. I can decide whether or not I would like to annihilate 6 of their permanents. I believe that I do not want to do that, because they can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, get rid of all of their lands, and then I don't necessarily beat what's on board. I can attack them for 17, and they did not draw the card immediately with the One Ring. Or, sorry, the life total doesn't matter because of the One Ring protection. Alright, I think I'm just passing the turn. Alright, so now they draw the card. So now 15 plus 2, 17 is theoretical lethal for next turn. I believe that I am just taking the hit for 7 again. Opponent has floated mana and now is drawing a card. So they now can't undo this floating of mana, so that was kind of weird. They are new to playing the deck, though. They told me in chat. Resolves. Again, hopefully with this mana spread, this is not as scary as it otherwise might be. If my opponent can cast 2 spells, I die if I let this attack through. I think I am letting that attack through, though. Going to 2. So sneak attack says sacrifice the creature at the beginning of the next end step. So I can just go ahead and put in the Emrakul right now and still be able to attack with it on my turn. Alright, so I am always dead to my opponent next turn, so I do attack with both of my creatures here. Wait a second, so they always die to their One Ring, so I don't want to attack with this. I can turn Ancient Tomb back into something that damages them. I would like Glaring Fleshraker dead. Yeah, so Magus of the Moon attack is fine. Oh fuck, they sacrifice the One Ring. Yeah, no, they sacrifice the One Ring, so I hold Magus back. I need them to sacrifice the Chalice, but I think they just sacrifice a bunch of lands. Yeah, so now Glaring Fleshraker blocks here. Opponent takes 15, goes to 2. I die to either one of these, so if I leave Magus back, that doesn't change anything there. And these are still all offline. Damn, that was real close. Alright, I don't think I like this hand. It doesn't do anything. It has lands and spells, but no real plan. This is a mana source away from having a plan, so I will keep this, get rid of a sneak attack. Windswept Heath. Potentially another Nadu deck. Yeah. So this is just something that can target Nadu. That can resolve, that's fine. This is just something that you can green sun for. I'm not interested in playing Vexing Bauble while I have Force of Will in hand, unfortunately. That's a bit of an awkward draw. Yeah, alright. Well, my Force of Will gets a lot worse. Spells are now uncounterable. Gaia's Cradle online. That's fine. I can counter this to slow down my opponent by 1 mana. I'm just not sure how much that actually matters. I might want to just physically cast Brainstorm. And I am thinking about whether or not I want to Brainstorm at end of turn or just use a Surveil land. I would kind of like to do something broken on my own turn, because this is just representing a very real clock. Like, I could potentially take 15 next turn and be dead the following turn. So I think I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm here. Those cards are not good. Alright. So I think I just lose. Like, next turn I can play Sneak Attack and do very cool things the following turn. Do I just need to counter this to just keep a body out of play for Gaia's Cradle mana reasons? I think so. But boy, that does not feel good. So my opponent has 3, 4, 5. If they play one more creature, that is potentially 6 for next turn. The last card is Natural Order. Get hyper punished. Green Sun for 3, that is Nadu. Okay. So my opponent can do some Sylvan Safekeeper nonsense this turn if they would like. Get attacked for 3. That's always happening. No other plays from there. Don't have a lot of agency here. I just have to jam Sneak Attack and hope that I am alive for the next turn. How many elves does my opponent have? Human Wizard. This is an elf. So 10, 13, 14. Oh, fuck. I'm just dead, aren't I? Just physically dead on board. There's a Aquarian Ranger. This is just 6 mana. Activate for Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh. Or we could choose to do something else. Okay. Well, my opponent is going to do the Nadu thing. They have lethal on board. And I'm just going to, I don't know, maybe they fuck up lethal. I'm gonna fast forward. Alright, my opponent has cast an Emrakul.
They have missed lethal twice this turn. Once at the beginning of the turn and once from this attack. But there's not a lot that I can do about that. I am still dead. All right. Sweepers are good here. Spot removal is playable. Magus of the Moon is potentially playable. I don't really like Flusterstorm. I don't really like Vexing Bauble. Those are going to be the first things to go here. That gets me 3 pieces of removal. I can play a Braid. I can play Magus. I'm not like the most excited about either. Braid just feels slow. I'm gonna play 1 Magus. No, that that doesn't do anything. This is turn 3 Magus of the Moon as the plan, or turn 2 Magus of the Moon if I do it off a Spirit Guide. That's not really the most exciting. The Spirit Guide is the thing that I would like to throw back from this hand. My opponent may not anticipate Magus of the Moon. Like, I might be able to keep this and Mise a turn 2 kill win. I will go ahead and just cast this Ponder rather than going for a Surveil land on 1. But I like to keep these cards. Sure. I would say that they're unexciting, though. Alright, Once Upon a Time. Finding a Nadu. Fetching. Is it the basic? It is not the basic. Dried Arbor is fine. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and fetch the Lotus Petal off the top of my deck. And we'll just shove Magus of the Moon. And this will be a we will try to win eventually spot. If my opponent can't cast spells, then, you know, it doesn't matter that we can't win immediately. Yeah, yep, no, those tap for red. Yep. So now my opponent knows that's coming. It loses a little bit of its oomph. I think I'm going to lower my curve by 1 and play an Abrade. I could go down the 1 ring in an attempt to lower my curve further. I think that's reasonable. The Magus is no longer a surprise. My opponent can fetch a turn 1 basic forest to kind of play around that. That's a weird one. I probably keep it. I could turn 1 show and tell in a Fury. I think I let that happen. I could turn 1 show and tell in a Fury and try to just murk my opponent with a Fury. I don't know that I am excited about that. We'll see where the turn goes. I'm going to let that resolve. I probably clean that up with a Fury. I would like to clean up 2 creatures with Fury if possible. I think I'm going to go Bam. I think I'm comfortable playing that out. Passing the turn. That's a lot of mana. Because that can reuse this forest potentially while untapping Noble Hierarch. I think I'm still letting it go. I have Fury in hand. Blue mana, untap a creature, replay land, and then probably cast Nadu, which I will Force of Will. Yes. Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. So I can still show and tell on my turn if I'm willing to use Lotus Petal to Brainstorm. I think I'm going to get 1 card deeper before I Brainstorm. Okay, that is cool. Cast Brainstorm. The next words out of my mouth were going to be, as long as I don't hit 3 lands off of this Brainstorm, we're pretty much good, because any red card is fine, any cantrip is fine, any creature to put in is fine, Omniscience is fine, and then that just fucking happened. Oh, that is rough. Alright. I don't think I show and tell in Fury. I think I'm going to put in 2 lands past the turn. Wow, this game felt like it was going to be unlosable after countering that Nadu and getting to take out both of those mana dorks. Then I just hyper whiffed. The float mana, untap, redeploy land, Aquarian Ranger. We're going to combat. They're not attacking. We're passing a turn. Court of Calling could potentially be a thing that could happen. So let's Thundering Falls. Given my luck so far, we will just look at 2 lands for my next 2 cards. There's one of them. Put in the graveyard. What the fuck, deck? Okay, so now we're just hard casting a Fury. So yeah. Alright, cast Fury. My opponent's going to get a Nadu in response. Oh, it's a Hydroblast. Sure. Oh, that sucks. So my opponent has Court of Calling, and then I think so they are doing it for X equals 1. Getting an Allosaurus Shepherd. Sure. Find a Cradle. Untap.
Alright, that's a green sun for a Nadu. I'm gonna value my own time and just concede here. That is a billion Nadu activations. My deck fucking let me down this round. Holy shit. No think. Just shove. Lotus Petal. Ancient Tomb. Show and tell. Fuck. Alright. We got Force of Will checked. So now I don't have blue mana, unfortunately. But I don't think you toss back the ability to combo on turn 1. Get wastelanded. Feels bad. I did draw a land, so that's good. Maybe we can surveil land directly into another show and tell to make up for my karma in the previous game. That would be cool. Tundra, Wasteland, Force of Will, Brainstorm. Maybe some sort of Esper Stoneblade style deck. Thundering Falls. Lotus Petal. That's going to be a no from me. I may lose the game immediately upon casting this spell. If I Brainstorm lock myself here. Oh, well, that's awkward. Put back Sneak Attack. I'm going to hide Show and Tell on top. I guess I will play City of Traders. If I get Wastelanded, it's a disaster either way. Wasteland. Brainstorm lets my opponent select for another counterspell, though. And I don't really know that I am in the position to bide time until I can play around that. I wonder if the Brainstorm should have been played prior to making the land drop, though, because hitting a Wasteland on Thundering Falls is presumably quite good. It may be a little hard to, like, 100% know that, though. Oh, fuck yeah. So, I will cast an Emrakul for free. I will get an extra turn. And that's good enough. Alright. We did spike some show and tells there. I feel like that really does make up for the luck in the previous round. So now, against my opponents, like maybe Esper, Stoneblade, Frog, nonsense, I probably just want to make sure that my combo resolves when I do it. So I'm probably looking at these cards here. I don't think I'm going to interact with my opponent's creatures. I am not sure what to cut. I could cut Grizzlebrand in fear of Bowmasters. I could trim some 1 rings and like trim 1 piece of mana or something like that for all of these. Also just like trim 1 ponder, keep the fast mana. But I think I would like to go off with protections some portion of the time. So, this is a weird hand. I'm thinking about keeping it. I don't have blue mana. I don't have a show and tell. I don't have a sneak attack. But I have 3 things to potentially protect my combo. Probably 2 of which can work together at any given time. This might just be a little too sketchy. My opponent keeps 7. My opponent kept 7. Let's mulligan this. Oh, shit. Yeah. Keep. Which creature do I want to keep? Emrakul is harder to get out of play if it gets into play. I think I'll go with that. So I need to find 1 land, and I need to find some form of protection. I can jam show and tell 2 turns in a row, and that might be good enough, but I would really prefer to have like a Vexing Bauble, Defense Grid, or whatever first. So let's try to find one. Yeah? I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. I draw Brainstorm and Force of Will, and then I can fetch away the 3rd card. I have Force of Will for if something really weird happens this turn. But I think I let something like a Psychic Frog go. It's a disaster for me if that gets dazed. Alright. I'm gonna bite, though. Ooh, opponent brainstormed so fast. Alright, that did resolve. So now, when do I play this Brainstorm? I think immediately. I think I just immediately play this. I play it around days. That's not good. Put back an Emrakul and a Valk. I will surveil at the end of my opponent's turn. I'm unsure if I naked jam show and tell next turn cycle. If my opponent cantrips, the answer is almost certainly no, I don't. Stoneforge? Snapcaster is fine. But is Snapcaster Thoughtseize? And I will presumably lose the show and tell here, yeah. So now we want to find something new to do with the Emrakul. Volcanic Island is not it. Yikes. Okay, we've got an awful lot of nothing going on. I'm only going to be taking 2 per turn cycle right now. Things could be worse. But my opponent is presumably going to have time now to, to find additional disruption for me. Hate that. So now my opponent gets the Planeswalker side, which is going to allow them to rebuy a bunch of cantrips, potentially rebuy some Thoughtseize style cards as well. And I just need to draw well. Deck. Deck sucks. How did anyone win with this deck? Yes. I will now draw a Brainstorm next turn because the universe has a fucking cruel sense of humor. Alright, opponent rebuys Brainstorm. I think I am very unlikely to win this game from here. Like, in order for me to win, my opponent has to just have fucking nothing. I'm going to continue to play out lands. Brainstorm is a thing that matters, but my opponent could have soft permission, like Spell Pierce and Foster Storm, and if I can play around that, cool. I do not have many draws before I just die. I'm at 7, so this alone is 2 turns. You may take one of my Emrakuls, you fool. That just puts you into range of dying to the other Emrakul. Now cast your Thoughtseize. Oh no, Murktide Regent. Alright, so I'm dead next turn. In which case, I will fetch once to thin. I'll keep the other fetch land available for if I draw a cantrip. Nope. I just feel like this deck is failing me. I could consider playing the One Ring against my opponent's Orcish Bowmasters. I could consider playing Pyroclasm and Brotherhoods and to get rid of small creatures. It feels like I should just try to kill my opponent. And maybe I'm crazy for thinking that that's going to work. But it feels like that's more or less what I should be doing. I'm not super excited about this hand. Like, I kind of just have 3 cards that don't do anything on their own. I think I can do better than this. Alright. Well, hopefully I just draw another land, and then I can sneak attack with a blast backup. And that just feels perfectly reasonable. Negative. Alright. So I can just naked jam sneak attack this turn into everything known to mankind. I think that's wrong. I think I am going to try to play a slightly longer game and just brainstorm here. We'll brainstorm before a Bowmaster can come down. Okay. Okay, this is fine. My Force of Will is pretty bad here. I would like to play Vexing Bauble this turn. That means that I do need to give something up here. Awkwardly, it feels like the Pyroblast, because then I can Vexing Bauble around a Daze by keeping the Spirit Guide. And if I don't have to use that, I have Sneak Attack plus Activate next turn. What do you have? Spell Pierce. That is resolving. And Spell Pierce was a card that I called last game that I might have to play around. Annoying. I would be taking the Sneak Attack here if I were the opponent. And now we're just fully in that position of I just need my deck to not absolutely fucking shit itself. It'll be fine, right? Alright, opponent did find another land. Cameo is fine. It's very good. Vexing Bauble. That gets 2 cards out of my opponent's hand. I don't think I play City of Traders here. I think I just hold that one. And I don't think I am interested in hard casting Simian Spirit Guide. I don't think that is a realistic path to victory against my opponent's deck. Psychic Frog. Deck! Like, we've got to talk. Did people just never interact with this deck? Alright, 3rd land drop. All 3 colors will be online. Flipping Tameo is online, which can get back, like Thoughtseizes and stuff. Oh no, opponent has a different way to get back Thoughtseizes. Now I lose the Atraxa. Ooh, cuckoo. Wow. Alright. At this point, I will cast this, because now this at least is blocking hits from the Snapcaster Mage. We were never really blocking hits from the Psychic Frog. My opponent can just make it fly. So my opponent gets to investigate. Alright, we are flying. Raid with Snappy. Oh. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. I don't remember what this one does. Tap creatures, put stun counters on it, draw some cards, make ninjas bigger. Alright, got it. Alright, Kaito, go away. New land drop. Kaito surveils 2 and then draws a card. Losing a Daze. At this point, I have to just top deck runner, and my opponent has to not interact with me. But, like, the Tameo can always get back something like a counterspell here, so I don't really know what I am expected to do to win. This is where I might like something like the One Ring. I think I just have to take this. Am I just gonna die? Like, does it have to be something with lifelink instead? How much, like, power or whatever do you have? This could be hitting me for 4, 5 damage. Potentially, like, 10 damage. Yeah, I can just die in 2 turns. I think it has to be something with... I think it has to be an Atraxa. I... 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 I give... This deck sucks. So bad. Alright, so... My feelings on this deck are already clear, but let's try to, like, quantify this and, like, make this a little bit more scientific. So, why does this deck feel so bad? I think that it is often not going to be as fast as other combo decks in the format. So I felt like the Nadu deck was going to be faster and more consistent than I was, especially considering that Show and Tell sometimes will put one of their combo pieces into play for them. It felt like my opponents were either good at racing me or had enough interaction that shoving my win attempts often wasn't working. When I did the thing, it was fine, and I usually won. But the format is just so fast right now, and in some ways, this deck is trying to settle in and have a longer game with cards like the One Ring. And Sneak Attack is kind of a 5-mana win condition or a 4-mana win condition that takes multiple turns, and I didn't really feel like I had that extra turn in many cases. I do not believe that I would be excited to register this in an event that mattered. I'm not sure what about the Anzi D event made this an attractive choice, but I feel like you might get caught in the crossfire of the blue-black Reanimator deck with people playing things like Containment Priest sometimes. And we did come across some, like, Vexing Bobble Defense Grid, Force of Will awkwardness. So I think I give this one a thumbs down. Magus of the Moon was bros. Homie did some work. Maybe the deck feels a little better with Mystic Sanctuary. Maybe the deck feels a little better with a second Thundering Falls. Maybe the deck feels better with Daze. Like, there are some ways that you can adjust this, but I think this one is not for me. I'm also not really sure that I like main deck Flusterstorm. It misses too much. Like, misses Mystic Forge, Nadu, Eldrazi as a deck. I don't think that's where I would want to be. Yeah, so I think I give this one a thumbs down on pretty much all fronts. That's what I get for trying something interesting. We should have just kept shoving the decks that we know are good. But I wanted to do a little bit of research before the Eternal Glory episode to see, like, why this seemed like it would be reasonable. And I don't know that it was. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need some cards, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU. Let TOA know that I sent you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.